Hello, everyone. This is Kristine Lundblad with Quilting Arts Magazine, and I'm very happy to introduce you to Susan Price, who is my guest today. And she is my special guest because her quilt, Redbird in Seeds. Oh, I'm sorry, Susan, I forgot the
Berries.
title. Thank you. Was a detail of her quilt, was the cover quilt for Quilting Arts Magazine summer issue. Welcome, Susan, and I'm sorry I messed up on your quilt's title.
That's okay.
Well, welcome. I'm happy that you could take the time to speak with me. You have been in Quilting Arts Magazine before. You are a contributor. I've seen your name. I recognize your work, and it's always lovely. And I'm so happy that you sent in this quilt because I think it made a great cover. I'll show it again just because I think it's terrific. And I hope people look at the gallery. Oh, this is in the gallery. I wanted to explain. We have two Reader Challenge galleries in this issue of Quilting Arts. And the one that Susan's quilt is in was our invitational gallery. We've done this 2 times now where we send invitations to past Reader Challenge participants with specific parameters or theme or whatever, and just ask them to create something by a certain deadline. It's similar to our regular Reader Challenges, but it's an invitational one. So that's what Susan responded to. And here I am talking. Susan, welcome. How are you?
Well, thank you very much for having me and for doing this chat. I was completely shocked to get your email saying that my quilt was going to be on the cover of the magazine. It was just the last thing I expected. I was just very happy that it was being published in the gallery. So having it be on the cover as well was well, I'm honored and thrilled and everything else.
Oh, that's great.
Been a something on my bucket list way at the bottom of things that, would be really cool to be on the cover of Quilting Arts, that I've thought about for a long time, and I've, I think, sent in pieces for consideration previously, but, just to have it come as a complete surprise was really pretty neat,
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. I'm glad you think so. Yeah, it's not even really an exact science. I mean, sometimes it's so hard to choose between what our designer will come up with for cover choices. And so yours fit the bill, and we loved it.
I have a quick question. Who does choose the cover options? Not you?
Well, it's a small group of people. I am among the people. We have a designer, and then we have some other senior members of our team. And so it's a small group. Mm-hmm. But we, it's almost always hard to decide. And sometimes it's a seasonality thing. Sometimes it's a theme thing. Sometimes it's just practical because, the words will look nice down in this corner.
Right.
Sometimes it's a practical thing like that too. But we're delighted to have your quilt in it. And I can see behind you, you must be in your studio and you have some work back there on your design wall. And you also have a little slideshow that you and I were looking at before. So maybe if this is a good time, you want to share your screen with me and we can talk a little bit about your present and future work, what you're working on now.
Okay, let me share my screen and get it to where you can see the full size.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh, wait. I love this piece.
There we go. Okay, so this is the one behind me, but I know you can't see it very well from the, just the distance of the computer right now. This is one that I just started this winter in January, and I call it Insight. It's the story of my journey. I've mentioned this to you when we've communicated online that I've been having some problems with my eyes, which is actually an autoimmune disease. And so for the last 2 years, I've, been basically nowhere except doctor's offices and
Oh,
surgeries. I've had 5 surgeries on my
oh
eyelid
my.
and have another one coming up next month. So this is, kind of my therapy, I guess you'd say, getting the story down
Yeah.
in a format that lets me still be creative and deal with the experience.
Yeah.
And this one is a
It's always
closer.
fascinating to me how people will take even challenging things in their lives as inspiration. And this is a fantastic quilt. And have you written, is this in like a permanent marker, or is that embroidery or printing or
I used fabric markers,
uh,
Fabrico markers, to do it
lovely.
first, but then I realized in some of the darker areas, the darker gray pieces, it didn't show up very well. It was hard to read. And I
Yeah.
had planned to do embroidery, but I ended up doing a lot more than I
Ah,
originally thought, because I embroidered over some of the writing.
yeah. I
And
think I
then,
can see that. Yeah, down toward the
yeah,
bottom of this detail there.
here's my
Oh,
cursor.
there's some.
See my
Yep.
cursor? This is one
Yeah.
that I did, and any place where maybe down here where the background is darker, I did
Yeah. Yep.
stitching.
There. Yeah. Yeah.
And then
That's
I
fantastic.
also, because you did raw edge strips and I fused them to a background, I thought I was overlapping them enough, but as it turned out, after I did stitching, I had too many gaps or more than I was happy with. So I ended up doing more stitching and in
Oh, I
cross stitch
see.
to hold those edges
There you
together.
go. Then you're also showing us your ingenuity in fixing a problem. So that's
And,
a good skill to have too.
and the eyes, in case you can't tell, those are my eyes
Yeah,
taken from photos that I took of myself, and then
that's
I turned them into thermofax screens.
that's fantastic.
So another
That's a
little
great
bit
one.
of information about this quilt. I submitted it to Sacred Threads. Are you familiar with Sacred Threads?
Yes, yes.
And so I just got an email a couple of days ago that it was accepted to their traveling exhibit,
Oh,
which
fantastic.
will premiere in Houston this fall and then travel for 3 years.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
So I've been having a pretty good week, actually.
That and the cover, huh?
Yes, cover, magazine cover, quilt
Yeah,
accepted.
yeah.
I drove a car on the real roads for the first time in about a year and 10 months.
Wow.
So, yeah, some good things going on.
That's really great. And did you have another one or two? Yeah, that's
I
great.
do.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at this.
And this one,
Lovings. Hmm.
is for a different, call for entry. The Virginia Quilt Museum,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but if you haven't, go to their website, look them up online,
Okay.
vaquiltmuseum.org. They're in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and they are doing this project. I don't know exactly, I guess it's a big project they call Stitching Together History.
Mm.
And it is for the 250th anniversary
Ah,
of the state as well as the country, but it's all
yeah.
Virginia related. So they are asking participants, well, they're asking for 250 of these small quilts, they're 20 by 20,
Wow.
which will be exhibited and also published in a book. They just found out that their book proposal was accepted.
Fantastic.
So all the quilts selected will be both exhibited and published in the book. And there are different categories of or aspects of Virginia history that you need to tie into, but it's so broad that just about anything could be,
Yeah.
tied in. But
Yeah.
this one deals specifically with the Loving versus Virginia Supreme Court decision
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
1967. So that's
Yeah.
one that I've just finished recently, but I'm also I've got another one that I'm starting on. The ideas or somebody else suggested something to me. So now I've got more ideas and
something's percolating.
oh yeah, so I'll probably do at least two, and then I have a third idea, but that one may
Oh, wow.
well, if I get two done, that'll be
That's good.
great.
And I like in this one how you've used the sort of the snail trail block to sort of
Yeah.
integrate the white and the black in there,
Mhm.
because as maybe some people don't know, the Loving versus Virginia was about an interracial couple who wanted to marry and that they were not allowed to at that
Right.
time.
And thank you for saying that. And as a side note, I am one of those people. Will be 48 years this year that I've been interracially married. So this is why I chose this topic.
That's
But
fantastic.
also the snail's trail design is also called Virginia Reel.
Oh, right. So that makes it even more
So, it has
appropriate.
a double, double
Yes,
name there. And that's, I felt tied it in. And again, exactly like you said, tying the black and white together
yes,
was
yes.
I mean, that was my original idea, and then I had to figure out how to fit the rest of it in there. And
Perfect. Oh, that's a
so,
beautiful piece.
thank you.
Very nice.
So moving on, let me see what else okay. So for
And
those
this is the
didn't
full
see it,
quilt.
this is the
And
full
everybody
quilt.
will see when they buy the magazine, you'll see. And I'll just if I can jump in and just say what I love about this quilt is you have just beautiful, beautiful ways that you've taken shibori dyeing and the little cyanotype there, and then you've embellished them beautifully with some hand embroidery and hand stitching. It really enhances them, and I love the balance of the color is beautiful. The little pops of orange, and it's just a very, very pleasing quilt. Really like it a lot.
Thank you.
That's my 2 cents.
Well, you mentioned previously that if I had any story or anything that
Yeah,
prompted it, it's not really, I don't know if you'd call it a story. It was
yeah,
kind of the way I work. When a lot of things I have an idea where I just start pulling out pieces of fabric and seeing what goes together, what works. And I'm motivated by challenges. And of course, this was a challenge. So I just started pulling out my cyanotypes and the shibori and arranging them. And um, this is what developed. And then, of course, the redbird and berries was actually an afterthought.
oh wow,
It wasn't part of the original plan, but I thought there's sort
yeah,
of not a real focal point, and
yeah.
something's kind of missing, and I had the red bird already created. That's one of my Thermofax prints that I did on color catchers that
Oh,
you put in
really?
in the wash when you're washing
Yes,
dyeing
yes.
fabric, and they're great to print on because then you can cut things out and they don't fray.
That's phenomenal. And I think
Um,
that is challenging to a lot of people once they finish a piece and it's just not right. And it's what is that one last little thing, that one last addition.
mhm,
And that the bird and the berries is fantastic.
yeah, and I had a few different colors already printed, so I could, just play and audition different ones
Yes,
and see which one worked.
perfect. Yeah.
And I kind of knew I needed to do something with the berries. My original plan was French knots, but then they weren't showing well enough, so that's how I ended up using beads instead, which worked out a lot better. They show up a lot better than the French knots did, and give
Well,
it a
I
little
think that's
more
beautiful.
dimension.
That's nice. Well, I think we might have time for one more. If you had one more that you wanted to share.
Let's see. Let me go quickly past these. This is one that I have currently traveling with Sacred Threads from
Oh,
2022.
right. Beautiful.
This is
Oh, and
another
this is beautiful.
one. The previous one, real quick, was in honor of my mother. She passed away in
Oh,
2019.
very
So that
nice.
was a memory quilt about my mother. And then I did one about my father and his
Oh,
World War II service, which has just come back from an exhibit that it was in.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
then finally, this
Mm.
one you'll remember from the last Reader's Invitational exhibit was published in the magazine. And
Yeah.
I stuck this in here because I'm working on sort of a companion to that.
Oh, love it.
Similar idea, but it's still a work in progress, and I'm doing stitching, but I can see from looking at a photograph that it's not showing up the way I want it to. So
Oh, well, that's always good. Look at it this way.
yeah.
So is this is a whole cloth piece that you folded and shibori dyed, or?
Well, it is
Hmm.
with a little bit of an exception. The four corners and the blue circles are added on top of the
Oh,
original piece
cool.
from some other shibori dyeing
Uh-huh.
because it
It needed
needed
it.
something
Yeah,
different. Yeah,
I
so
like it. I like
we'll
it.
see
So
where that goes.
I love it. You've got a lot of handwork on that, and the dyeing is beautiful. Really neat.
So I'm gonna stop sharing.
Very successful. Very good. Well, I'm blown away by your work, Susan. I just so glad that you share it with us and our readers. And it's just been so delightful to talk to you. And I just want everybody to see this again. Um, Redbird and Berries. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm messing up on the title.
No, you did it right that time.
Susan's Quilt. The detail is on the summer issue. It'll be available in the middle of June, and subscribers should be getting them soon. It's been delightful to talk to you, Susan. Thank you so much.
Thanks. It was great to meet you in person finally, aside from the emails.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.